If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm set to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Snap Decisions. I, of course, am your host with the most, and I have a guest with me today. It is Kiernimbus, who's been here a bunch of times, actually,
Yeah.
before.
What can I say? I love being here.
Man. Welcome. You're joining the short list of return guests who've been here more than multiple times. But welcome, man. Thanks for joining. And obviously, Kier has a podcast called the Infonaut podcast, which I listen to quite often. It's very cool. It's very short, but very short and to the point. It gives you a lot of news in just that short time. So, Kier, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Kiernimbus. That's where I post the podcast. And I also have a lot of Marvel Rivals content if you're interested in that.
Nice.
I also post frequently on Blue Sky at Kiernimbus. So if you want to check me out there, you can definitely do that.
There you go. Yeah, Blue Sky has been a pretty good place so far. I actually I moved my personal X account over to there, and I'm done on X. I got off, and I moved everything over there. I actually moved my wrestling one over there too. And there's a good amount of really good people that are over there, and a lot of Snap content creators have migrated over too. So it's actually kind of nice. It's a nice change if you don't want all the the negativity, the porn bots and stuff that comes along with the other place. It's kind of a nice way to get away from all that. So but yeah, thanks for joining. Of course, we are going to talk. We have a lot of things to chat about tonight. So we're gonna go over the outage. Of course, I want to hear what happened with Kier during that. We're going to talk about the compensation. We're going to talk about the 2 new cards that we have so far for this month. We'll talk about the upcoming new mode, Sanctum, which is getting a little bit of controversy. We'll talk a little bit about character mastery, which I know Kier and I are looking forward to. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll also talk about just kind of some things that may be coming to the game in the future. I got to start off with this. And I know you do Marvel Rivals content and stuff like that, and obviously the Fantastic Four are in Rivals now a little bit, right? What is it?
Yes.
Reed and Sue, I think, are in the game.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the trailer?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts?
I am super excited. First of all, can we talk about how cool it is that it's a period piece in the 60s?
Yes.
That is so cool to me, the fact that they're really committing to that. I know that for some people the casting isn't what they envisioned when they think of the Fantastic Four, but for me, I think it's just, again, it's genius that it's apt for the time that this would have been taking place. I'm so stoked. And I mean, I'm sure for you, when you saw the silhouette of Galactus looking over the city, so cool. My God. Cool.
There was no way I was waking up to watch that because it was on at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And for as big of a fan as I am, I'm like, yeah, no. So, but when I got up, I knew it was going to be all of it. So as soon as I woke up around 10 that morning, and I turned it right on. I watched the trailer, and at the end of it, I'm literally laying in bed, and I'm like, yes. When I saw Galactus's helmet, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, dude. literally did a on my pod last night that I did a shot for shot review of the trailer. So I kind of went through it like in slow-mo, and I went through it all and stuff like that, and like the Easter eggs and stuff that were in that little piece. But oh my God, yeah, like what did you like? I think a lot of things that people were wondering, right, was what the Thing is going to look like. He looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He looks amazing.
Yeah.
I love the big eyebrow, like that Alex Ross drew him, like with the small little beady eyes. He looked fantastic. And obviously, they're not even done really probably touching up the special effects. They've got months to finish that up yet.
Yeah.
But oh my God, so good. And then I like the little things where it looks to me like they're going to have flashbacks to the origin, which is fine. I don't need the origin story repeated. We all know it. But it looks like the scene where he's in the spaceship and him and Sue are kind of recollecting, and then he sees her turn invisible for the first time and he's trying to touch her face. And then when you see Johnny fly up into the atmosphere and then all of a sudden he flames out, I think that could be a call back to the comics when they first landed back on Earth and they didn't really know that they had the powers until they got out of the ship. And then they started to test the powers. So I think Johnny might have just flew up and is like, oh, and goes above the atmosphere, no oxygen, and all of a sudden, whoop, and his flame just dies. And I'm like, okay, I bet you that could be when they were. But but like you said, the retroness of it. I mean, I took a still shot of when they were in front of when the room door first opens up, and you can see the city skyline, and on the left, and I don't know whether they did this on purpose, but you can see the Empire State Building, but then on the left of that, it looks like the Jetsons' house, the little cylindrical UFO-shaped house with the base on it. I'm like, oh, that's
cool,
phenomenal. And but I am so I mean, July, dude. Like Superman comes out in July.
Yep.
This movie comes out like a week or so after. I am going to be in the movies like constantly, and I'm probably going to end up seeing both of them more than one time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be burning all my Cinemark free tickets that I get in July. But yeah, I was thrilled. And then of course people had to complain about Galactus. They're like, he's too small. Guys, read a comic.
That's the thing, right? Like, and I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm just so passionate about this.
Yeah.
Galactus changes size.
Yes, he does.
He does. It's variable. Yep. And not only that, but the way that we see Galactus is not actually how he appears.
Correct.
It's how, like, if you were a squirrel, Galactus would look like a squirrel. Yes. Because that's how squirrels see themselves.
Right.
So like his size would change. That's very important to note. Yeah. I don't like all the weird comments people are making about that.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like he and in the comics he did. Like he would have to, if he wants to come down and speak to a human being, he has to kind of make himself smaller. Obviously, he's not going to be the size of an Eternal walking down to try to talk to a human. He just too big. Yeah. He would end up he crushed the entire half of where he's standing. So and he's always been able to do that. He's been able to shrink himself down in the comics. But Innocent is doing his voice, which, oh my God, he's done the dialogue for Diablo 4. He's just one of those guys with that kind of a booming voice. And I love his post. You see his post on Twitter that he put up?
No, I didn't.
He wrote, "Get off my cloud," as his Twitter post. And I'm like, amazing. Because we all know, when I'm anticipating Galactus in that Fantastic Four movie that came out before, and you get the dumb cloud, and that was all it was.
Yep.
I was like, but yeah, that was fantastic. But he's going to be awesome. You could see the helmet and stuff, and the color of the helmet in the back. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm finally going to get to see Galactus on a big screen.
It's really cool.
Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And there was some Easter eggs on the board that Reed was working on, the science board, like the chalkboard that he was drawing. And somebody pointed it out. There's on the left of him, there's a picture of a wormhole, and there's a picture of Universal. He titles it the Universal Wormhole. So that's probably going to be the way they get out of there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this. I'll have to read this to you real quick, but the plot synopsis came out too. And basically, if I still have it, I think I might have. I might have posted it on my Twitter. Let me just pull this up quickly. This was interesting because of the last line in the synopsis. Okay. So the Fantastic Four first step sees the team face their most daunting challenge yet, in quotes, continues forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bonds. They must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. And if Galactus planned to devour the entire planet and everyone on it, it weren't bad enough. It suddenly gets very personal. That to me screams their son. That screams Franklin Richards. Because in the comics, Franklin, when he got older, was able to make Galactus his herald and basically trapped Galactus. So if they're kind of taking from that, Galactus probably doesn't want him born if he knows what he's going to become. So I'm like, so then I start to think, okay, they have to escape this world and leave it behind, basically, because if he's coming for them and then he says he wants their baby, they've got to get out of there. So, and this could be why they may not be able to stick around, and then they end up going to the 616. That's what I'm coming up with anyway. Could be very different from that, but I'm like, the fact that it said it becomes very personal, I'm like, all right. So, but oh my God, I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
I personally, to go off of what you said earlier, I'm going to try to merge this to what you were talking about at the end here. I like the fact that they're breezing over the origin story.
Yes,
because
100%.
As somebody that's been watching these movies for 10 or more years,
oh yeah,
you already have an idea.
Yes,
right. And I especially appreciate that. Even the newer Spider-Mans are sort of understanding. You don't have to show that Uncle Ben died. We get it.
Correct.
We've seen it before.
Oh my God, billions of times.
Yes. Having more time for story to be explained is super cool. And leading into that, I think you also know as an audience member, okay, clearly we haven't seen the Fantastic Four in the MCU. They haven't been mentioned.
Right.
Even in passing, even in the flashback scenes, if you remember in Endgame, we went back in time to see Hank Pym working in S.H.I.E.L.D. We didn't see the Fantastic Four at any point. Nope. So clearly they're not from the 616 universe.
Right.
I like that even in the trailer, they're sort of setting up the idea for the audience, hey, you guys don't know what's going on, right? You get there. There's a reason why the Fantastic Four haven't been a part of this whole thing. So I do like that it seems like to me smart writing.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
I'll admit that I'm sort of hedging my bets here, because if this movie isn't as amazing as my expectations are, then I'm going to be really, really disappointed. So I'm trying to temper my expectations, right? I know how these new MCU movies have been, recently. I just don't want this to end up in the same boat as those.
Yeah, I agree. It's a valid concern. I mean, they haven't exactly hit the mark with it. I mean, Deadpool, Wolverine, absolutely. That was
right.
But that's a no-brainer. Everybody knew that was going to be good, and it wasn't really even. Yes, they tied it in with the TVA and all that kind of stuff, but it was still a Deadpool movie at heart. Mm-hmm. And you kind of knew with him and Jackman they weren't going to miss on that. And really, before that, they've been sketchy at best. I mean, the Marvels wasn't good. Eternals was kind of blah. They haven't really hit on stuff much at all. Now, I will say the series that came out last year. So Agatha, I enjoyed. I really enjoyed Agatha. I thought Agatha was good. And now these new the animated ones and stuff that they, of course, X-Men 97 was fantastic. This new Spider-Man, I'm loving it. I just watched the other 3 episodes today. I love that. I love how they're doing the old style Steve Ditko kind of artwork from the comics and stuff like that. I'm loving that. So but it's a valid concern, and I think a lot of people, hopefully, we're getting capped this month. So hopefully that will start us off well, and then of course we got Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, I think, is going to be a sleeper. I think Thunderbolts is going to be good, and I think it might surprise some people. I'm looking forward for Sentry. I want to see. I am really excited to see Sentry.
as a side tangent on that, I just want to say I do hope that they make Sentry absurdly powerful, and it's
Yeah.
not going to be the Thunderbolts fighting him, because
Right.
I don't know how they're supposed to win.
Oh yeah, no, that they would get crushed. He's basically, people I don't think necessarily understand him if they didn't read him in the comics. He's basically Superman in Marvel,
Right? Yeah.
with a dark side. Is basically what he is.
Yeah.
He has his own. He's his own enemy. But
Suspiciously similar to Adam Warlock, actually.
Yes, yeah, like Adam Warlock and oh god, what is his Magus? Adam Warlock and Magus. Yeah. That's a good comparison. But yeah, I have high hopes for that. I think that may be a sleeper. Now, I don't think those films. I'd be shocked if they make a ton of money. I think, Captain America. I think a good round number for that would probably be like 300 mil plus. I think in and around there, domestic. If it hits 500, I think that's a success. Mm-hmm. Thunderbolts again, I think around 200-300 mil. Fantastic Four, though, I'm betting they're really banking on that to be like a big one, especially going up against Superman. And Superman looks, that little teaser looked fantastic too.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm really, I like the cast. I like the people they cast in the roles. They look great. I was Pedro Pascal. I was a little nervous about thinking, you know him from so many different things now.
Right. Yeah.
And when I heard his voice, you could tell he's changed his voice. It's not that normal Pedro Pascal Mandalorian voice or Last of Us voice, but he's changed his voice. Again, the scenes with the Thing, the raincoat scene. Oh man, I can remember reading books in the 70s and stuff when he would go out in that raincoat and just be, scenes with him in the rain and stuff like that. It's just very sad because he wants to hide his look. He doesn't want people to see him that way. And so I'm looking forward to, what do you, so I got to get your ideas on this. Obviously now there's rumors about we're going to get when they put the next patch out, we'll get the data mines for the season for April. Yeah. April. And there's already rumors that's going to be What If. So that's going to be fun. And then, but there has to be something in July for Fantastic Four. Now we know we have all the main characters. We have them all in the game already, right?
Yeah.
If you were gonna think of some things that Snap could do with a Fantastic Four series, obviously they have tons of villains. They have the Mole Man.
Right.
We don't have in game, right? They have Red Ghost is who they're saying John Malkovich is going to be playing. Red Ghost is a very early Fantastic Four villain who has like an army of apes, like intelligent apes that fight. So if he's in it, obviously they can do that. They can do a thing for Herbie. Herbie the robot can get a card.
Yeah.
So there's ways they can do it. And I watched Red Snapper's video. He did like predictions on some of the upcoming sets that what he thinks are going to be. One of his, I think, viewers or him came up with a brilliant idea. And it was a team card, a Fantastic Four team card, where he had all four of them on the card. And they each had a little bit of each other's powers. Like it was move at one space, gain two. And the other one was it reaches out to another lane. And so it had their combined powers. I'm like, oh, that would be. But then also had another idea for it too, where instead of doing a Fantastic Four season, he would do it a Galactus Herald season. And I'm like, oh man, because then I'm guaranteed a Galactus variant. I'm guaranteed a Galactus card back. So that could be something too. I don't know, but if you had to predict, if you can, if you had to predict what it is going to look like in July, what would you think they would do? I think it has to be something around the movie.
Yeah, I would hope that. The number one card that I would like to see is Herbie personally.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you don't know this, Herbie is actually in Marvel Rivals 2.
Okay. No, I didn't.
He's a part of the map that the Fantastic Four are on, and he drives the Fantastic Four car through the city, and you're sort of moving that payload with him.
Nice. Awesome.
Which is super cool to be able to see Herbie both in a movie and in a game within a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things in comics that often gets forgotten about because licensing issues and stuff. But Yeah, really cool. I'd love to see that. And I I honestly, since we already have Galacta in the game,
Yeah.
I know that other characters have taken on the mantle of Galactus too.
Mm.
Um, I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm sure a Google search could tell me. But you were talking about What If before. What If would also sort of lean into that. You could definitely there's a million universes that you could borrow from.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I mean, especially the idea of like a Fantastic Four card also opens up a lot of things, because then that also opens the opportunity for a Defenders card, an
Yes.
Avengers card,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
maybe those cards. My first instinct is that those cards would help one or two of the cards in that team.
Yeah.
But if they did combine abilities, I think those cards would be absurdly good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be fun. I think he also mentioned possibility for doing like a vehicle and having the Fantastic car in there too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could be down with that.
We already
too.
have the Quinjet, so not
Yeah,
impossible.
very true. Yeah, but I think that would be cool. And that's the one thing that Snap has done. Whenever they were able to, now I know a lot of them got kind of like when the launches for the movies didn't go as planned. They had like how they've already had a Thunderbolt season, because that movie was supposed to come out earlier than it did. So they they don't go always that way. But I think when they know that Marvel's going to have something big, they're going to capitalize on that. And if Fantastic Four is their biggest thing this year, I'm sure that that Snap is going to do something huge for it. So, I've heard you're playing Rivals. So how is Rivals? I tried it a little bit. I played through the tutorial just to see if I was going to be able to play it, because those games sometimes, like shooters, they sometimes give me a little bit of nausea just from like the way the screen goes and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure I was going to be able to play it. I got through the Punisher part of the tutorial okay. It didn't seem to really bother me and stuff like that. So I plan to play more. In fact, I have Marvel Unlimited to read my comic books from.
I mean,
the app,
great subscription, by the way.
Yeah,
really worth it.
Yeah, dude, for going back and looking up like all of the comics from all these classic, all this stuff. Oh, no doubt. And they gave me I got a code for a skin for Jeff from Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to go in and start to play. But yeah, how's it going for you? Is it you liking the game?
I mean, it's my dream come true, personally. Nice. I've been a fan of hero shooters for a very long time, playing Team Fortress 2, then moving over to Overwatch. So having a game that combines my love for hero shooters with Marvel characters, it's amazing. I also really, really like the characters that they've chosen.
Yeah.
Particularly, like, Jeff the Baby Landshark is not... like, before Marvel Snap, I would say a majority of people never heard of Jeff the Baby Landshark.
I agree, yeah.
And then with his prevalence in Snap being so high, I think it helped him to be a part of this game too. And he's an incredibly popular character there. As for the gameplay and stuff, it's top notch. The art style is really incredible. I also, if you don't know this, they also have lore sections you can read about each of the characters.
Oh, that's cool.
As you play, you unlock more lore for the characters that you own, which is super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 marks for me. I absolutely love playing the game. So
that's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check. I've always liked Marvel games. I mean, I was a big fan of Ultimate Alliance. Loved those games. I played every one of them.
Yeah.
And even before they started to come out with DC made their it's like their RPG type thing that they did that's still out. That's still on consoles, where you can be like a hero in a similar fashion or design to other ones. Like if you want to be like Shazam, you could kind of look like him a little bit and kind of get his powers, but you can't take the name. But you do these big events. Like I remember they had a Doomsday event where all the heroes would come in and you'd fight Doomsday together and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. But before that, there was a computer game called City of Heroes, which I absolutely loved.
I think I know that one actually.
It was so much fun. People would go in and try to design costumes that looked like the actual other superheroes. I used to get kicked out of the game like every other day because I designed something that looked too good. I had a Spider-Man costume that was spot on, and then I remember their little bots would come in and they're like, "Yeah, you can't wear that. You need to go." And they bounced me out of the game, and I have to put something else on to come back into it. Yeah, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I liked it because the way it was formed, where you'd start off, you get to like level 5, and then you start to earn your powers. And if you took a hero that had flight, you wouldn't get flight until like level 7, level 8, level 9. Then you were able to fly on the board. It was a cool game. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that there's because I think a really good like team superhero kind of a game was kind of needed. We haven't seen a good one for a little while.
Yeah, no, I think back to like, because it seems like such an easy concept.
You would
think.
Think.
You already have a genre which is based off of teams working together with different abilities.
Yeah,
like superheroes seem so natural. In that slot, but it hasn't been until now that we've really seen a game take advantage of that and also surpass its competitors in terms of popularity. Like that's been extremely rare in the hero shooter genre. So yeah, I mean, I think they're knocking out of the park, and they're also working in promotions too. If you don't know, they have a collaboration with Marvel Snap where you can get the Deadpool emote your little nameplate.
Yeah,
which is super cool.
Yeah.
I love that the games work together on that. And of course, we've already seen the Marvel Rivals season.
The set,
yeah. So super cool. I'm hoping that they do more stuff in the future too. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just speculating here, but I would have to guess that Marvel Snap and Marvel Rivals are probably the most popular IP games that they have right now on the market. So
on the Marvel side, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're in between. The big ones are the Sony Spider-Man games, obviously, but we're past that now. And I know they have a Wolverine one, I think, coming, but that I don't even know if that's going to get out this year because I haven't really seen many. They got a screen or two, but I haven't really seen much from it so far. So, who's your favorite character in the game to play?
Right now, it's Loki, and I'll tell you, it's not exactly what I want. My favorite villain is Mysterio.
Oh, I love Mysterio. Yeah, me too.
Mysterio is so cool, but this is close enough, right? Loki in this game can instantly make himself invisible and spawn a clone that shoots for him. And with a snap of his fingers, he can also project clones that double his healing output and then triple it. So if he has himself and then 2 other clones out, you can do insane things with him.
That's awesome.
He's super fun to play. And then, of course, he's so sneaky. Like, somebody will be shooting at you, and you can swap with one of your clones. So then they'll start shooting the clone instead of you. It just feels so fun to play. He's definitely my favorite. But, I mean, there's a lot of other characters, too, like Storm. Being able to fly around infinitely. You're not on a cooldown. You can just fly around the map, and you help your teammates by giving them buffs, like the speed of the wind or the power of lightning. It's again 10 out of 10. Super fun to play these characters. It's a real joy.
You know what I'm gonna do is when they bring the Thing in, I will come in and play because I like tank characters. I've always been like when I played WoW, I was always a tank. So I will because I'm sure the Thing will be a tank of some sort.
Yes. So the way that it works is right now for the first half of the season, they introduced Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. And then once this section ends, then it's Human Torch and the Thing.
Nice.
Which is really cool because they also have a synergy with each other in game. If you pick Sue and any one of the Fantastic Four characters, Sue gives you a shield that you can put on yourself, which is super cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'll have to do that. I'll have to get in it. So I had heard rumors too that they're eventually bringing Man-Thing to that game. Oh man, if that happens, I'm I'm in for good at that point.
The data mines for this game are insane. They're gonna have Ultron as a support character.
Oh wow,
that sounds so cool to me. I like in my head, I'm imagining he's like sending out drones and doing all sorts of cool stuff. Oh man, I'm
You'll
so
probably
excited.
get Mysterio at some point. I imagine they'll bring villains in at some point too.
I really hope. My only fear is that in terms of power set, he's sort of similar to Loki. Obviously,
He would make illusions. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like they could totally do it differently, and there's a lot of creative ways you could get it implemented. But my biggest fear is like they already have that archetype in the game, so they might not be very quick to.
To put him in.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll
yeah,
do like a Spider-Man, like a Sinister Six at some point, and maybe
yeah,
they'll bring out the group, which would be, like Electro, Sandman, Mysterio, and bring in a group of them,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they could all kind of team up together and stuff like that too. So yeah, there's unlimited possibilities with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. I'll have to. When I decide to come in, I'll hit you up. I'll find out where you play, and I'll.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
hit you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have it. I've downloaded it to my PS5. So
Heck
um,
yeah. Yeah, that'll run the game well too. Like
yeah, the little bit that I played on it, I'm like, yeah, that's going to work a lot better than my poor little PC would. So I'm
Yeah.
but that's cool, man. That's very cool. I'm glad to hear that. I know that a lot of people are, obviously a lot of the bigger content creators and stuff are doing a lot of it now. I know Binks plays it, Cozy's playing, so a lot of people that are out there playing it and enjoying it. Well, that's good. That's good. That's just good. That's good for everything all around. It's good for Marvel. It's good for this game as well that we talk about. So it's just good all around. So cool. All right. So, well, we're here to talk Snap, so I guess we should do some of that.
Maybe.
But yeah, let's get into let's start the discussion here. And so, first of all, let me ask you where you were. And this is kind of a thing. Where were you when the outage happened to Snap? I was so lucky because for whatever reason, I was busy that day. I had my game open, and for whatever reason, and I don't know why, because usually I always shut my apps down, close them when I never closed it.
Right.
I left it on the entire time. So I had no idea. People are telling me, and I'm seeing this in Discord and all this other kind of stuff, and they're saying, I can't play. And I'm like, oh no. And I went and looked, and I was fine. Nothing. I'm like, well, what are they talking about? They can't play. It must be. But then I found out about it. So when did you first realize that it happened? Were you trying to play it all at that time, or did you find out about it a little bit later?
Yeah, I if I remember correctly, I found out about it a little bit later when I saw the KM Best video.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe it was a notification for his Twitch stream. I saw the title that said Snap was banned, and I was like, what do you mean Snap is banned?
Right.
And then I went to my phone, and of course it didn't work. Yeah. And I know how to use a VPN, right? So I was one of the people that had the ability to play, but I didn't because I was afraid that I wouldn't get the compensation for it.
Yeah, a lot of people were concerned about that.
Yeah, so I was Snap free for a couple of days. I think it was 2 days that they were out. And during that time, it's funny too, my fiance saved up some of her tip money and bought me a new phone. My phone is very old, and it was a very sweet gesture.
That's cool.
So the only problem with that is once Snap came back, it wasn't on the App Store.
Yeah, that's right. You couldn't download the app anymore.
Right. So I had just gotten this new phone. I had set it up, gotten it all ready, and then I heard that Snap was back. It's like, oh yay, I can play it again. And then, of course, I could not. Now, I have it on Steam on my PC, so I was still able to hop on and do things. But in sort of a weird circumstance, I was affected by the ban. I couldn't do alliance missions, couldn't do like the daily rewards track. There were things that I missed out on. So I was particularly happy with the compensation, but I could understand why for a lot of people, it really wasn't a big deal if you knew how to use the VPN. It's one of those things where it's like you press a button and then you can hop right in. But again, I was afraid that would void me from being able to do stuff. So
yeah, that's a logical thing to think. And I mean, a lot of people were, because they were asking. I know even that got to Ben Brode and got to Glenn, because I remember Glenn saying, no, we're not gonna penalize you in any way, but that was after the fact. That answer didn't come right away. And then I ended up trying one, and I am about as technologically illiterate as you can possibly imagine. So I ended up getting a free trial of the Norton VPN for like 7 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, why not? So I downloaded it, and literally, you're right. All you have to do, you select and I remember people saying, well, select Canada. And I'm like, okay. I selected Canada, and I'm like, yep, boop. I was on, and my stuff was all there, and it was as easy as anything to do. Although it was funny because I remember about 2 or so hours later after I did that, I remember going to, and I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I'm kind of hungry for pizza. So I went and I was going on the app for Domino's to order, and I'm like, and I'm looking, I'm like, why the hell isn't it listing my local Domino's as being open? And here, because it's looking for Domino's in Canada, and I'm like,
That's
yeah,
so
idiot.
funny.
And I'm
That
like,
is so funny.
I'm like, why isn't this working? And then I'm thinking to myself, oh, you dummy, you downloaded this. You're on the Canadian thing, you goof. And I'm like, well, okay, there you go. But no, yeah, it didn't. I was able to play for right up until I ended up doing a stream on my wrestling show for a pay-per-view on Sunday night, and I must have been messing around with my phone, and I swiped on it, and I must have closed it not knowing, and then that was it. But then that was when I tried the VPN, so I really didn't miss much. I only missed maybe like an hour or so until I decided to go on the VPN thing.
Right? Yeah.
But I thought that look, that could have been disastrous for this game.
Yeah.
With everything that's been going on and some of the bad feelings over various things, card acquisition, all that kind of stuff. If had that stayed down for let's even say for 2 weeks,
right,
they would have lost a massive amount of players. And so they took a bad situation. They got it back up within a day or two. And then the compensation, when I saw that, because again, I saw the comments, everybody's like, oh yeah, we're going to get 500 credits. We're going to get, but I thought the compensation was very good. I thought it was much more than fair. They awarded it to not just United States players, but they gave it to overseas players too. So I thought that that was a pretty good gesture on their part. And the fact that they're saying that, they're getting a new publisher and it's going to happen pretty quickly shocked me too. I thought for sure that was going to take a while.
Yeah. It was actually shockingly fast. Insanely fast.
Yeah, agreed. But all's well, I think that ends well. And in the long run, I think it promoted. Did you open up all your compensation stuff? Did you get all your, okay. Did you get anything good?
Okay, I'll say for starters, let's talk about the actual important part of this. The money worth that you got out of this was incredibly insane.
Yeah.
Spotlight keys, collector's tokens, credits, all that good stuff. And even like the conquest medals were cool because it allowed me to get the Luke Cage variant.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, my variants that I got, not so great. I got a couple of pixels, and then I think I got I got a variant for Carnage and maybe Quinjet. I think it was okay. They're not cards that I play too often, but I mean that wasn't the important part, right? The important part is that we were able to get all this cool monetary value
for sure.
And I should say, part of me is glad that I'm so paranoid because once a month I record my collection of Marvel Snap. Ooh, and I don't know if anybody else does this. It's something that I started doing back in July because something occurred to me about Marvel Snap that's kind of scary to think about, and that's that we don't get to keep the cards once the game is over.
Nope.
Like let's say in 2 years from now they do start winding down the game.
Yeah.
All my cool cards are gone.
Everything's gone. Yeah.
So when the game went down, I was just like, I was thanking myself. I was like, thank goodness I recorded my collection.
Good idea.
Because it's a sad reality with digital games. We might not get to keep this stuff.
Very true.
So I would just caution anybody that's listening to this, maybe take a couple screenshots of the cards you like most. Just they might disappear. It's a legitimate thing. Yeah. I will say I do have to applaud them for also including people of lower collection levels and people who weren't directly affected by this. I think a lot of people they were upset because they didn't get as much stuff as the people who were affected.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people were like, well, I kind of wish I got more collector's tokens. I don't know why we got half, but I think free stuff is good no matter what. And it was way more than you would usually get for this sort of thing. So yeah, honestly, kudos to them. It was really handled well.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, it could have been an absolute disaster if they didn't get that back up quick. You would have already had people being like, all right, I'm out. And so that could have been an absolute disaster. So yeah, I think it was one of those things where they took a negative, turn it into a positive, and now let's see what's going to happen going forward if they do change publishers and get away from Nuverse. They had said that they're going to do that even last year.
Right. Yeah.
So
I should ask, did you actually check out the new publisher that they have?
I didn't.
I did, and I'll just tell you right now, never heard of him. I've never seen any of their games before.
What's the name of it?
I think it's Skyloft. I'll triple check right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I did not look into that.
It's not Skyloft. Hold on, let me look at new Snap.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up here too, but obviously I'm not finding it.
Skystone. That's what it's called.
Skystone.
I had the sky part right.
Interesting. And they they don't have any other games listed or anything like this?
No, they do. They do. I just don't recognize any of them.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Skystone Games.
Although it looks like they have a history of doing like indie games. So
yeah, it does look like that. Like there's some games here there's one called Handmancers, Hellcard, Land Above Sea Below. Yeah, a lot of indie stuff. Yeah.
Which honestly, that feels like good news to me.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of good indie games out there, man.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of Undying. I've heard of Undying. Really? Yep. In fact, looking at that, I may have played it because a lot of these games that you're seeing here are on if you have the PlayStation Store, a lot of these are free.
Oh, okay.
So, yep, I definitely know. I'm looking at Undying and I'm like, yep, I've definitely played Undying. Underworld Dreams, The False King is on there. Space Lines from the Far Out, Flight School, The Last Friend, Maniac, Land Above Sea Below Prologue, Land Above Sea Below, Hellcard, and Handmancers are what they have listed here.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Listen, again, some of these indie games are really good. So yeah. So listen, and then you know what? It may be better that they're going with somebody like that rather than a big publisher anyway, because sometimes the big publishers want more control. Yeah. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
Yeah, like I said, I'm comforted that it's actually a publisher that likes indie games, because that tells you that they're willing to work with smaller developers. Which, in the case of Marvel Snap, despite what you might think, they are a small indie team. Yeah. I would guesstimate no more than 50 staff, probably way less than that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Oh, they are not by any stretch of the imagination like a huge gaming company for sure. I mean, that where Ben came from when he came from Hearthstone, that's Blizzard huge. Yeah. So that he took a chance. Some people do that, and they'll progress away from something that's big and go on to do something that's not as big, but yeah, who knows? We joke about this a lot. In fact, when Regis was on, we were joking about it a little bit too, talking about, could you imagine if Snap ventured into DC and did a DC game? It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Be bad. Either DC or something like, since they're working obviously with Disney, right? They have to be in order to get the Marvel license.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney owns it. Could you imagine if they ventured into I did it like a Star Wars game? That's along the lines of Marvel Snap. I'd be playing that for sure too. So But yeah, look, all in all, I think they did a good job with it. It was something that could have turned into a very, very, very bad situation, and I think they did as good of a job with it as they could have.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
but all right, so let's move on, and I'm going to bring in Kier. Is been kind enough to share his slides here with me because obviously I don't come prepared. But yeah, so let's talk a little about we have a new season that just started. Oh, and before we get to that, I want to talk to you a little bit about last season because honestly, people make me feel like sometimes like I'm on an island with some of my thoughts.
Yeah.
All I will say is this. I had the worst time climbing this past month that I have had in months in this game. I have been having once I hit infinite, then there's a month I missed. I hit like 90 something, but I've hit infinite all the time since. But this past month, I could not play very much at the very beginning. So I kind of had to get a late start. Now I got up to 88. And then it seemed like I just hit a wall of nothing but mirror matches, no matter what deck I'd switch to. I was playing low-level CL players. Like I'm talking my CL is like 37,000. Yeah. I'm playing players that are sub 2,000 on a consistent basis. And I'm like, what is this? And the thing is, and no offense to newer players at all whatsoever, but first of all, it's not fair to them because they're playing me who has all these cards that they don't have, number one. And number two, it is kind of hard for me to prepare for players like that because I don't remember those decks. And a lot of them were playing just crazy combinations. Like I remember one of them beat me with a final turn. They threw out a Sebastian Shaw, not a Surfer deck by any stretch of the imagination. Right. No other cards to combine with it. So I'm like, who cares about that stupid card? They're not playing Surfer. They're obviously playing like a mishmash of all that. And then last turn they played the Surfer and beat me with it. And I'm like, wow. What? And I'm like, so I had the worst. And then it almost seemed like I did not see a bot for forever. At least the bots that I remember. The ones that were playing, and now I saw some posts today that Lauren put out there about how now it looks like bots are in alliances.
Yeah.
Which I've
seen them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it was fun. Her post, she posted where they were in an alliance, but then she looked up that alliance and the name isn't in there.
Yep.
So they're obviously using alliance names on these bots, I guess, so that you can't figure out that they're actually bots, which now makes a lot of sense to me because I had no idea that was happening. So, but I knew something changed. And, everybody's telling me like, nah, you're just playing the game wrong, or you're not, you're not leaving when you should, or you're not doing that. And I'm like, no, the game changed, man. Like, I'm not crazy. Something happened so I was just going to ask you, like, were you seeing any of that? Last month as well, like during your climb or during playing?
I mean, so I'm going to be vulnerable for a moment and say the reason why I didn't notice a change is because I'm a bad player. I've made it to infinite exactly once.
Okay.
And the rest of the time I usually float around the 80s and 90s. So I personally don't see a lot of bots when I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm usually paired up against people.
Yep.
What I have noticed, however, is the alliances thing, because something to keep track of when you're playing against bots is on their profile tab, you can see the highest rank that they've ever achieved.
Yes.
And if I'm playing against somebody that's making suspiciously good plays, like landing a rocket when I play it on the right side instead of the left, where you would normally do that, I'm like, let's check that. And if I see that they haven't been infinite before, that's a really good indicator. Like, well, that's probably telling me that, this is a bot.
Yeah.
And what really got me is a lot of the times these alliances just did not mesh with the person at all. Like I saw that there was one like SpongeBob guild and the guy's name was Dave. And I was like,
Dave.
I was like, this doesn't, I don't know, man. This just isn't, it doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah,
that I have definitely seen, which is a really, I don't want to say sneaky change, but like it doesn't feel honest.
Mm.
It to me. Like trying to obfuscate. I'm trying to get the word right. Trying to hide that you're going against a bot does not make anyone feel better.
I agree.
Right? Like, if you ask me, when you click on the profile, it should just tell you that it's a bot. But
yeah,
that's my perspective, right? I guess on their end, they're trying to make it so certain new players can feel awesome going against, bots in the 30s and 40s.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So they don't want it to be obvious that they're playing against bots because they want those players to get more confident with, their deck and the cards that they're using. I will say, to go off what you were saying earlier about playing lower collection level players, I'm sure you watch the Born to be Cosmo podcast.
Oh yeah, I love those guys. I actually had Blue Train on my show. I had Zombies on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to that podcast, and they seem to be like, they seem to concur with what you're saying, where like they're going up against players that are just way lower than them in terms of their collection.
Yeah, Blue Train ran into that too. I remember him talking about that and saying that he ran. Yep. I kind of was glad I heard that, because then it kind of just makes me feel better as a player, because a lot of times when you lose a whole bunch in a row, you're like, oh my God, why do I all of a sudden suck? Like, I think I'm pretty good at this game, and all of a sudden I'm terrible. So something had to happen, but I'm kind of glad he said it, but I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, I was just going to round out my thoughts and say, I think you're valid. I think that they did change something. I've seen enough posts on Blue Sky, and hearing it from Blue Train on the podcast, I was like, okay, clearly there's something going on. The reason I haven't noticed, again, and it's embarrassing to say, but I'm just not good enough
it's all good
to get to infinite consistently. And typically, when I'm on the climb to infinite, I am facing players the whole way through. Gotcha. Like I can count on my hand the number of times that I've gotten a bot in the 80s. Yeah. Like it's extremely rare for me. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I don't think that you're crazy, and I think that you're a really good player. So
I appreciate it. No, it's like, look, I just can tell, you just can tell. And that, to your point, I listen, I understand that they have to keep certain things quiet. I understand that they don't want to talk about certain things. I get it. Cause I even saw people asking in their Discord about it. And then, Glenn's response was, well, we don't discuss bots.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I get it. I understand that's kind of a secret thing in games, and you really don't see, like in any other games that do have bots, you don't see them talking about it either. So that's not just them. So I get it, but I would have just appreciated just a little tiny message, just kind of saying, hey, we made some adjustments. We made some adjustments.
Yeah.
Can't really say what we made, but we made some adjustments. So if you're seeing a harder climb this month, that's why. Very vague, very simple. I think to me, it would have been just nice to hear that, because then people aren't getting frustrated, people aren't getting upset, and they're like all of a sudden, like, well, what the hell? I hit a wall, and it's like I just can't get past this wall.
Yeah,
and so it would have just been just a little vague little message. And it didn't have to be in any details. I don't need a big list of everything that they did, but it would have just been nice to hear that, hey, to your point, we changed a few things because we feel that people on low ladder, needed a little adjustment. So, and then I'm like, all right, fine. That's probably what it is. It's not me. And I would have been, I would have been fine with it. But so, yeah, look, it obviously looks as if they're tweaking some things. I'm sure that hit when the patch hit, when we got the last patch.
Yeah.
I wish I would have got infinite before the last patch would have, but hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But it was like, oh my God, like every other, I was, oh man, you want to talk tilted? Whew. I've been tilted before in this game, but when you're coming up against, just players that you can't, a big part of this game is predicting what your opponent is playing.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it. And if you can't recognize what deck they're playing whatsoever, and you're also not seeing them make really dumb plays, like bots just play silly. Now I know I was hitting bots yesterday because I'm in the 50s now. I was
Right,
hitting
yeah,
bots yesterday, and those bots are the bad bots. They're the ones that you can see. They're filling a lane. They're putting cards into another card on one lane when you
Right.
know you can easily beat that lane at the end of the game. And now they're stuck 4 cards in that lane. So then those bots, but when you're like, when you're coming across bots that are actually playing you pretty well, it's like, damn, okay.
Yep.
But anyway, let's get into the new month because that makes me happy. I was glad to have the month end and to start the new month. So we are in, of course, the Captain America month. This is Brave New World, I believe they're calling this, that's the name of the movie. I'm not sure what the title is of the month. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's the Brave New World.
Yeah, Brave New World. So there you go. So we're going to talk about obviously the new cards that we have, and the season pass card is, of course, as you can see up there, Sam Wilson's Captain America. Have you gotten a chance to play with Sam yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. He's look. I have him in a Wiccan deck. I took a Wiccan shell and I stuck him in there, and I have Captain America in there, and I have Moonstone. I have Moonstone in there, which is Moonstone just wins me lanes. The only thing I found frustrating about Sam is not getting Sam. Right. I have the shield out, and then I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, well, now I got Captain America, so I can play him down, but I have no Sam. And then finally I get Sam like turn 5, and I'm like, oh. But it's very fun. It buffs Captain America too. It buffs and then there were people playing Killmonger against me, and that's an awesome thing. The shield's not getting destroyed.
Yep.
But I've had fun, and the deck is the list I'm playing is pretty good. The Moonstone really buffs up Cap, and if you have the 2 caps in the lane, it gives you a huge amount of points. I think I have speed in there as well.
Yep.
What an underrated card that is.
I'll tell you right now, it is my favorite card in the game.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I heard you say that on one of your shows, and I could see why. Yep. That card just gets big, man. Yeah. Like you get that out on turn 3, and that card just is gaining power and gaining power and gaining power. That card is so good, and I know a lot of people skipped that card altogether and just never got it.
Yeah.
And now they regret it. And you play Moonstone on the speed lane, you're gonna have like a 30-some point lane just with those 2 cards. So yeah, fantastic. But yeah, like how what kind of a deck did you put it in, and what have you thought of Sam Wilson so far?
Yeah, I was fiddling over here because I think I saved the deck somewhere around here. Oh yeah, here it is. I made a deck. I called it Fruity Pebbles.
Nice. And
the reason being, it has the Pebbles, which are the 1-drops in the deck, and then I have Marvel Boy in here. And let me tell you why this is the secret sauce.
It's almost like a zoo list.
Right. And I didn't commit fully to the zoo. My top end in this deck is Hulkling and Leader.
Okay.
And the reason being is because Marvel Boy is the secret sauce with Sam Wilson.
Yeah.
Since that 1-drop is on the board at the beginning, usually when you're playing down Marvel Boy, you can only have 1 or 2 1-drops on the board.
Yep.
Because typically you want to play other 2-drops, do other things. So when you play Marvel Boy down, he's already starting to proc on the turn that you play him on that shield. And since it can't be destroyed, at the end of the game, that shield becomes huge. It's
probably a 1/7, 1/8.
Yeah. It is big. So yeah, that's the list I was playing it in. I'll save you the boring the rest of the list, but that's basically
by all means mention the list, because I know when I talk about decks, I always read off the list. The listeners like the list, so yeah, mention it, for sure.
All right, well, it has Echo, Zabu, Hydra Bob, Quake, Sam Wilson, Captain America, Marvel Boy, Kyera, Shang-Chi, Crossbones, Cole Obsidian, Leader, and Hulkling.
Nice. Okay.
And it sounds like a bunch of random cards, but the synergies in this are just so natural. They work so well. Like Cole Obsidian, you can always play him in this deck.
Yeah,
you will never not be able to play him.
Yeah,
because the shield will always be on the board.
That's true.
Crossbones is an amazing add to this deck because you're going to have priority turn 1. And you can keep building off of that.
Yeah.
The 1-drops in this deck are also great. Like Echo and Hydra Bob are huge impact cards. Hydra Bob just because he's so big, and Echo can prevent those ongoing decks that you're running into.
Yep, that's
you
true.
have
yeah,
Quake that can like steal locations, and then Leader and Hulkling are fun splashes in this deck because the rest of the deck just works so well. Like you're just already slamming so many points on the board so early. I genuinely, I've been having so much fun with this list. It's still early in the season, so I'm facing a lot of bots and doing other things, but I'm on a huge winning streak. I think I've only lost about 3 games.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah,
but I'm having a ton of fun with that.
Nice. Yeah. Look, it is definitely a fun card. And it's cool that it kind of gives the regular Captain America something as well, because we've all said that Cap needs something, and now he gets something with the shield. So yeah, I think it's a fun card. Now I'm not going to say that it's as good as Iron Patriot. Iron Patriot is just a better card. It's more consistent because you're always going to get something. You're going to get a card. Most of the time, you're going to get a discounted card. So it's not as strong as Iron Patriot, but it is. I like it. I think it's very, very fun. If you get Sam out, Sam just gets big. It switches over to Cap. Cap's growing. It's just it's just a very, very cool concept. Yeah. And look, we've had some artifacts in the game before. We've had Thor's hammers and stuff in there and stuff. But hopefully, this becomes a thing where now that they can do more of that. They can have like other little artifacts of the heroes in the game going forward that they can kind of do something with this. And then you know what? I laughed about it because I'm playing a couple games, and then I come across, because you're always going to see it, you come across the No Fun Police.
Yep.
The No Fun Police are the people who are playing Scream, because they know you're going to be playing this and you're going to be moving the shield back and forth, and all of a sudden the Scream comes out. Now you can't move the shield anymore. You can, but it's going to get hit every single time. You're going to be getting a negative on it constantly. And so so immediately that comes out. Everybody's always going to try to find it. And I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong. If you know that a lot of people are playing a certain deck, you're going to want to you're going to want to play a deck, I guess, that's going to counter it because you're going to win. I mean, and that's ultimately what it is, a lot of people, but I was surprised to see that so soon. I was like, oh God, here come the Scream decks. And I was surprised, or Clog, because if Clog comes out, you're not moving that shield anywhere. Right. Because in fear that you're just going to get stuck in that lane. But yeah, you're going to see it, but yeah. So I think he's pretty good card. I think it's set up well, and it just adds to that list of 2/3s that we're getting. They're just pretty darn good cards.
Yeah. And I mean, and we can definitely move on in just a second here. I just wanted to mention the stats on this card are nuts, right? Like if you count the shield, just playing him down makes him a 2/4.
Yep.
Without even trying. And then of course he's one of the best scalers in the game.
Yeah.
If you remember, Angela was broken at a +2 every turn. Yeah. Guess what this guy does every turn?
Yep.
If you get him down early, he is a monster. I've seen him at 211.
I believe it. Yep.
Yeah, like it's insane. So I personally, this is a slam dunk for me, but I understand it's hard to put a frame of reference when we've had so many good season pass cards recently.
Yeah, they've been overpowered to an extent. I'm really surprised that we haven't seen a Galacta get hit with a nerf yet. Galacta is very strong. Yeah. And I'll be surprised too that Iron Patriot doesn't take some sort of a hit as well at some point, because they're just very, very overly strong. And I get it. They want to sell the season pass. That's what they want to do. And I get it. I get that that's why they want to do it. But I'm shocked that Galacta didn't get nerfed already. And I would be shocked if she doesn't get hit in the next bit of OTAs, because the OTAs were kind of still, I think, leftovers maybe a little bit from last year. Yeah. And now that they're coming into but yeah, you're right. The season pass cards have been overly strong, I think, these last couple of months. So, all right. Well, let's talk about the next card. Of course, we have Joaquin Torres. And now I didn't even touch this one yet because I hate bounce.
Yep.
Bounce is too big brain for me to play. It hurts my head when I play it. I am not a bounce guy. But obviously you would think it's a bounce card. It's a 3/4. He is ongoing as well. The reveal abilities of your 1-cost cards here happen twice. So who plays 1-cost cards with on reveals? Normally it's a bounce deck. Now that's not all that there would be. You again, I mentioned Zoo. Zoo plays a lot of 1-drops. You could play him in a Zoo deck, I guess, if you really wanted to. But I think his ultimate fit is in that deck that has Silver Sable, that you want to proc that again. And those are the ones that you see that are the bounce list. So I think generally he's going to be played. I haven't come across in my little bit of time playing yesterday and today a single deck with this card in it yet. I have not seen it played yet against me one time. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a very limited card as to what it can be. And obviously Bounce just took that hit from the OTA. The move Bounce deck did anyway. They really hit that with some of the nerfs. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts on Joaquin Torres? Have you had a chance to play him? I know I didn't, but yeah, what are your thoughts on him so far?
So I'll tell you that I did open the spotlights. I opened with all 4 keys, but it's not because of Joaquin.
Okay.
It's not because of Joaquin. I just liked the variants in the spotlight.
The variants were pretty cool. Yeah.
The Nomura one in particular is awesome. Mm-hmm. And the classic Makari is also really cool to see.
Yeah. Yep.
So if that tells you anything, it's that I'm not particularly interested in this card.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why is you look at this and then you look at Beast. Why would I ever play Joaquin?
That's a great point. Yeah.
Like, you understand what I'm like?
Yeah.
Beast is a 3/5.
Yeah.
And it does essentially the same thing and can boost things like an Angela or like a Bishop or, those cards that depend on you playing things. So I just don't see the purpose of this card in the game. I don't he's not fixing a problem that needs solved right now. Yeah. I will say, I think people are really, really harsh on this card. It's just this type of deck, the one where you're trying to get the most out of your 1-drops on reveals. Mm-hmm. I think it already has so many enablers that adding one more is not necessary.
Yeah.
But I think if you put Joaquin in your bounce deck, you're probably going to love it. Like I'm almost certain that you pair this up with regular Falcon and you're getting, 4 procs off of your Silver Sable. And you're getting 4 procs off of a Korg. You're ruining
a demon. You're gonna get a handful of demons.
Exactly, right? So to say that this card is bad is inaccurate. Mm-hmm. I just think that it's not solving any problems that we need solved right now. That's how I feel about it.
And that's what I wonder. The people who play a lot of bounce, I know Glazer loves bounce. Yeah. People who play a lot of bounce, I wonder if, and I was thinking, you have decks that are out there that are very static lists, and you want to be doing things on certain turns every turn.
Yeah. So
like you were saying, they're going to want a Beast, right? They're also going to want a Toxin at some point.
Yeah.
Where does this fit in all that? And when does it become where now, all right, now it's kind of overkill. I'm filling my hand up. And now, so yeah, you're right. I just don't know. I wonder if those decks are just too static to try to fit him in. And what are you going to take out? What are you going to take out in its place? So yeah, it's a great point. And I like you probably will never know because I don't play that style deck.
Yeah.
So I'll probably never know. Yeah. This is going to go the way of what's the name of the the 1/5 card that we got that could lose you the game. I forget her name now. Martyr. This is going to kind of go almost by the way of Martyr for me, which I have never really played. Yeah. And it's going to probably fit into that category, unfortunately. So, but I'll be interested to see, if I finally do come across a person playing a deck with it, I'll be interested to see what they come up with. And maybe it won't just be, maybe they'll find another use for it in certain lists and things like that. So I'll be curious to see. But this is definitely a card I think the majority of the players now are playing the season pass card. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is the card that's going to get kind of pushed to the side a little bit and may take like a week or so to start to finally see what people are doing with it.
Yeah.
So, all right. We can move on, I guess, and look at the rest of the cards for this month. So we have Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. He is a 2/2. When your opponent ends a turn with unspent energy, draw a card with 10 or more power. And you can see the synergy he's got with his alter ego in Red Hulk. So another card to maybe put in the Surtur Big Dumb Idiots lists, which got very popular again last month when Ares came out. So yeah, I would imagine that's the place you would see him. In a deck like that, just to be able to get you that 10 card or 10 or more power draw from your hand. Because, I've already played Surtur lists where I just get a whole bunch of my small cards at the very beginning. I might get Surtur, but I don't get some of the big cards that I need to get at the end until later in the turns, like turn 5, turn 6. So this would kind of help you with those lists. But yeah, where do you see Thaddeus Ross going?
So, it's an interesting point to say that like this card is married to Red Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're playing Red Hulk, you should be playing this card because
for sure.
It's the only other card of the game that benefits off of this effect of your opponent not spending their energy.
Yep.
Now, as for like the decks that this goes in, I think Tucker said it on his podcast best, and
okay.
I'm sort of stealing from him when I'm using this terminology. But again, this just feels like there's a problem that doesn't exist, and this card is trying to fix it. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been Not My Dance on that podcast that said this.
Oh, but, the one that they do together,
Yes, but the idea that like. And I totally agree with this. I think that's the perfect way to say it. This card isn't solving a problem that exists in the game currently. The deck of Surtur isn't having a problem with getting their 10-drop cards. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think that this card is neat. I just don't think that you want to include it in the deck. It's not necessary. It almost reminds me of like Howard. And look, I love Howard. I have that card split a bunch of times, but it's not because the card is good. I'll tell you that much. It's just because I like Howard. So I like, if there's anything that you could say about this card, it's that in the future, if we get a 10-drop card that's pivotal to a certain game plan, this card would be worth putting in your deck. Yeah. Like right now, Eliath is 9 power, so you're not going to get the best benefit out of that. But let's say that a card comes out like Eliath, where its effect is extremely, extremely strong, and it comes at 10 power. Well, now you have a to help you get to that card.
That's a great point. I'm wondering if they're thinking of Izon with this card.
Ooh, okay.
Because Izon is the one where he's a 6/13. Now that at least that this is what his data mined as. He's a legendary card at the start of the game. If all your cards have different powers, give them +2 power. So maybe they're thinking ahead a little bit with Ross in maybe pulling, because a lot of those cards in that month, Agamotto is a 6/12.
Okay.
So a lot of the cards in this month are just big dudes. So maybe it was a look ahead. Maybe they were looking ahead a little bit.
I mean, well, and if I'm not mistaken, too, doesn't Agamotto add cards to your deck?
Yeah, I think so. Let me look at them quick. Yes, the spells.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I think you make a great point here.
Yeah.
In that, even just the following months ahead have like some really good options for this card. Yep. So I would say it's not very useful right now.
Right.
But if you happen to get it in your collection, I don't think you're going to be mad. Yeah. I think this card will have a place in a deck someday. It's like a better crystal, frankly.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I think some decks will want this eventually, but right now I don't see the use.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that Izon card is very interesting. It's a legendary card, which I can't wait till they explain exactly what that's going to be.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, the
it,
most popular guess is that it's going to be like one per deck, which would solve a
right?
problem that we currently have in Snap. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very true. And it's interesting whether they'll use that title on other cards and stuff too somewhere down the
yeah,
road.
yeah,
Like they may go back. Like they could make Galactus a legendary card. Maybe they're big bad cards.
yeah.
Maybe they become legendary cards.
And then you could actually balance those cards differently because you know that they're not going to interact with each other.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you could make it, I don't know if they would, but they could make Goliath a legendary.
Yeah.
And then that would restrict you from putting in decks like Surtur
Yes.
with another legendary card, or putting it in
Yeah.
Arshem where you know
Yep.
you're going to get the benefit of the energy.
Yep.
That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that goes. All right, what do we got next up there? We have Red Wing. Now, this was changed.
Yes.
So, Red Wing is a 3/3. The first time this moves, add a card from your hand to the old location. This is the card that all the Bounce players were really looking forward to, because when this came out with its original text, Bounce would have gone wild with this card. And now, of course, they're disappointed because it's just been changed to what it is.
Right.
So, a little bit of a move card here. First time this moves, add a card from your hand to this. So I don't know. I guess maybe this works in static move. Maybe this works in Human Torch move with with Madam Web and all that kind of stuff. It's going to pull more of your cards out of your hand when it moves. Yep. So maybe that's the kind of list it finds itself in. And look, that list is doing okay. A lot of people are playing that just general Human Torch move where they're bouncing Torch back and forth. Then they get Vulture in there, and then they of course play Heimdall on turn 6. It's still a pretty good list. Gets pretty good power. So maybe that's where it finds itself. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Red Wing?
I think you're pretty spot on in that. Like, I don't know, this card just it doesn't make sense in move to me, because like the most benefit that you'd get out of this card is getting a big card out on the board.
Right. Yeah.
And getting like an Iron Fist off of this does not seem very lucrative to me.
Very feels bad. Yeah.
Something that I haven't seen people shout out yet is Phoenix Force.
Oh, that's a good call. I was just thinking that. Yeah, because you need to get the Phoenix Force and stuff like that. So yeah, I
like that. Makes a little more sense to me.
Yeah,
maybe there's like a thing you could do with that. Maybe if you destroy the Red Wing first, and then you Phoenix Force it, then you could have a target in your hand that you want to get, like a Nimrod, to help you advance your game plan.
Yeah,
I could see that. I do want to give credit to this card. I don't know if a lot of people have mentioned that yet. I think in that archetype, this might have a little bit of a niche place. Yeah, but again, I feel like I'm repeating myself here. I don't know what this card is helping with. I don't know what it's trying. Like, the best case scenario for this is that you get an Infinite on the board, but then you're building a deck where you have some move enablers and then an Infinite. So what happens when you don't get this card?
And it certainly doesn't work with Falcon. Like it doesn't work with Cap, and it doesn't work with. So yeah, you're right. I mean, Red Wing, you would think, would go hand in hand with Sam Wilson, but it does not. So yeah, no, that's 100%.
It's just a weird middle range, like it's almost like Jubilee, but it's more conditional and requires you to work harder. And like, I don't know. For me, it's a big skip. Like I'm sure, and again, I'm sure that there's going to be a list that comes out that gets a lot of value out of this, but it's probably going to be worse than just not running that list.
It's almost like you mentioned Phoenix Force, right? Yeah. It'd almost be like using it in Hela, because it has the ability to pull out your Hela if you can't get it. So, you're trying to reach for Hela with like a Jubilee. You're trying to always reach for it. But then this card then could also give you maybe just that extra card draw when Hela ends up like on the bottom 2 cards of your deck. And
well, the problem is this is from your hand.
That's true, though. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, you're right. This does look kind of skippable now that they changed it. And it's funny because it went from like probably the most anticipated one to now probably the least. Because they had to change it. Yeah,
it's sad, really. Like I don't know.
Yeah, because Red Wing to me, see when you're making cards like Falcon and Red Wing, they have to be synergistic. You have to
Sure,
make those
yeah.
cards synergistic. They've been in comics together forever, and so yeah, but and they have no synergy. They have no synergy whatsoever. They're two totally different cards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yep, agreed. All right, well, let's move on. We've got Diamondback. Diamondback's a 3/3. Ongoing, so it obviously fits the whole ongoing theme of the month.
Yep.
Enemy cards here afflicted with negative power have an additional -2. Well, this is going to fit very well in toxic decks.
Yep.
The Ajax lists, the hazmat, the man thing, that whole thing is going to fit very, very well with this. You know where she's going to do well too? But again, the list is very, very, very static. But discard with bullseye.
Right.
When you
Yeah.
do the
Good
when you
call.
do the bullseye discard, now all of a sudden, she's doing an additional 2. So it's definitely would be a different discard list. It's not going to
Yeah.
be your
Yeah.
necessarily static Dracula, Morbius. You'd have to do more with like the swarms in there and stuff like that to get the bullseye to go off. So be more kind of like a toxic discard list, a little bit
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But she's interesting, and I do think people love playing toxic. They just
Yeah.
do. That's
Yeah.
a beloved deck, but I think she's going to fit right in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is like the easiest slam dunk card ever.
Yeah.
Like if you like Affliction, you should get this card. And in
Yep.
fact, if you don't like Affliction, you still might want to get this card because the stats are just good. Like you throw Hazmat down, you throw this card down, it's big. Like you could just imagine it being a 3/11, right? Because if it's if you have 4 cards in that lane that are getting affected, I mean it's huge. Now, there's something to be said about her. Like, it's good that it specifies that it's enemy cards here, because if it wasn't, I would be saying something completely different about this card.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's your enemy's cards means this is just it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so insanely good. And since it's at a 3-cost slot, you know that it's going to pair well with other cards like Luke Cage.
Yep.
Or what's that other card that I'm thinking of? My brain is not working.
Toxic lists? Is it
Mystique?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like it's just so easy to pair with Mystique. It's like it's insane. I'd like imagine you play Ajax on 5. Let's say your Malekith brought out your Hazmat, so you have that laying in wait, and then you do Mystique and then Diamondback. It's like
that's like a huge final turn.
It's so good.
Yeah, she could technically be your second Ajax, because you'll have one Ajax that's definitely going to win a lane.
Yeah.
And then she could be your second one that comes out along with, like you said, you play that in Mystique on turn 6. That's you're going to win that lane too.
This is an easy 5 out of 5 card for me. I don't think that she needs any changes. She's conditional. She needs work to be done in order to make her effect activate. And it's dependent on how many enemy cards your opponent has, on how strong she is. Like, she feels like a perfectly awesome card. Like, I have no complaints. Yeah,
agreed. I think it's going to be a very, very good card. I agree. All right, well, there you go. So we just gave you a little season preview. We're going to talk about, we've got a new game mode coming out. This is called Sanctum. And of course, it's all Doctor Strange related. You can see, by the way, we're getting a new, how many times have people asked for a new screen for this game?
Yeah.
How many times?
I know.
Now they don't have an excuse, because you could see that we're getting a new game screen, and the window from the Sanctum Sanctorum is there. So hopefully this is going to lead to much more of this, and we're not going to have to look at that silly asteroid anymore, because I'm a little tired of it. I'm a little tired of the asteroid. So that's the first thing I noticed. But yeah, we're getting this new game mode, and a lot of one of the first things that I noticed was all the different rewards they have in this game that you can get, like tons and tons. Series 4 and Series 5 cards for people that don't already are not collection complete. The scrolls up there, I'm not really sure what they are yet. Some people are saying they could be like kind of a currency or ways to continue playing. If you run out of a way to play, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then of course we're getting the cards that had been mentioned before. So we're getting Lafay, we're getting Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is finally coming to the game.
Yep.
And then Gorgon. Gorgon is the other one. So yeah, so we're getting these 3 cards that you're going to be able to get in this mode. And I mean, we could go into let's see what scroll up a bit if you don't mind for me real quick. We'll get it. We'll look at I'm sorry, scroll down. I meant down. My bad. For the wording underneath the first slide there. No, up a little bit. Yeah. So let's see what this said. Practice your Latin and ready your magic. Cave Sanctum Showdown is the next temporary game mode arriving this February the 18th on Snap. Let's see. Different from conventional Snap. There'll be no cubes and none of that 6 turns of gameplay. The objective is to get to be the first to get 16 points by winning locations. And it seems that the game only ends when it happens. Pay close attention to the locations because every turn, one of them will be the Sanctum worth more points than the others. The games will be insane, and I love that board. Playing Sanctum Showdown will allow you to buy so many rewards that I can't even list them all here. I must say that the most insane thing that you'll be able to get are 4 unowned Series 4 and 5 cards. That's huge.
Yeah,
that's absolutely huge for series for players who are in collection complete.
And it should be mentioned, by the way, we're getting this off of Snap Fan, just so that.
This is their wording. Yes.
I just want to make that clear. We're not writing this in the moment.
You're right. That's read off from Snap Fan. Yeah, got to give them credit where it's due. Yes, yeah, for sure. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on this? I mean, look, at least they're continuing to try, right? I think I'm gonna probably say for myself, I'm tired of the diner. I've had enough of the diner. I'm over the diner. High voltage I like. High voltage I like a lot. They can keep bringing that back. There's no stakes. You know you're going to get the card that they're giving away because it's just easy to do. Yeah, there's no pressure. This one looks like it's going to be kind of insane. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I know people have done videos on it. I would tell you, go check out KM Best's video that he did yesterday. A lot of people are kind of a little skeptical as to how many of these cards you're actually going to be able to get in the time allotted and the amount of time that you're going to have to be able to play without spending gold on it. So we'll see. I would tell you to go check out. He does a much better explanation than I ever would. But yeah, what are your thoughts initially on this when you read about it?
Yeah, so I mean, let's just talk about the mechanics first. The idea that you're not trying to win 2 out of 3 locations for turn 6. You're trying to win as many locations as you can every turn.
Yes.
That is fascinating to me because it totally changes the deck building of this game.
Absolutely.
You don't care about getting your turn 6 combo. That doesn't matter.
Yep.
It literally could not matter less about getting your combo set up unless it's something that happens extremely quickly.
Yep.
They show in this teaser image, they have the shield from Sam Wilson already on the board. I think it's an auto include in your deck.
For sure, because you got right off the bat, you're gonna have a card out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's necessary. You have to be able to fight for points in this game mode. And they did mention one of these locations is going to be considered the Sanctum.
Yep.
So it's going to be worth more points than the others.
Yep.
So what I'm expecting to see is a lot of bounce. I'm expecting to see a lot of like what I expect a lot of people to do when they first make a deck for this is they're going to slot in Medusa, Lizard, Maximus. Just all of these like big, small cards. I'm assuming a lot of Hydra Bob, all of these cards that are going to try to get as early points as possible. And then you need something to sort of hold your lead. So they did talk about, certain cards are going to be banned in here. I heard that. Juggernaut and Negasonic Teenage Warhead just seem like also auto includes to me.
Yeah.
If they're not banned, you have to include them because they're going to make that location so easy to win. And the last thing to point in here is it's interesting to me that the turns aren't really organized by like the typical 6-turn structure. It's just you have to get to 16 points. So the game goes as long as that goes.
Yeah.
I would ask then what the energy scenario is going to be like. Is it going to give one each turn and then stop at 6? Is it going to go beyond 6?
Good
Are we
point.
going to get like more energy per turn than we usually do?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Those are all my initial thoughts. Sorry, you can continue.
No. I was going to say, no, that's a good point. Yeah. Like, because the energy is going to matter. But yeah, you would think like right off the bat, your first reaction would be, I've got to play stuff that's going to get out quick and get me power on these lanes. So like you were saying, Hydra Bob, Martyr. We mentioned Martyr at a 1-5.
Yeah, actually a really good card for this mode.
Yeah, like for sure. Even to hang on to how many turns does it go?
It technically it could go on forever if you weren't earning points. Like I guess if none of you played anything every turn, it would just like.
I was gonna say, what about the whole combo with Ebony Maw and Zero? You can have those 2 cards in your hand. Have Ebony Maw down as a 7. You could almost play something like that. Like, yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely going to be different. It's definitely going to be a different way to play the game, and a different style of play. And so, yeah, it's like your 6 cost cards are kind of useless, really. Because what are you going to do? Yeah, you might be able to get one out, but it's like,
I guess Dr. Doom would be decent because you'd be spreading the power.
Yeah.
But you'd have to wait until you get there. And by that point, your opponent might already be earning, 7 points a turn.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Because if you wait until too late in the game, you're going to end up, you're not going to win by points.
You might not even get to turn 4. Like if they're, because I think the Sanctum is going to be worth 4 points. So if you're winning all 3 locations, that's 6 points a turn.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Now, for sure, we're going to see, and because the content creators are all going to be playing this, they're gonna end up coming up with decks. So for sure, you're going to see decks. I'm sure day 1 or 2 after, Glazer is going to have all kinds of decks you're going to want to play in this and stuff like that. So you're going to be seeing yourself. But what I would tell you, whenever a new game mode comes out, to have the most fun with it, just try it yourself for a little bit. Just try it yourself. See what you can build personally, because you know what? It's kind of the part of the game that gets a little lost, because so many people net deck, and listen, I do it myself too, so I get it. But in a new game mode like this, just what I would tell you for the first like hour or two, just try your own things. Just try it and see if it works. And maybe you'll find that, hey, I thought up of something really good here. I'm winning with this. This is pretty good. And who knows, maybe you'll be one of the people who puts one of those decks out there that people end up net decking. Yeah, just try it, play it new and just go into it without having to go and look for decks right off the bat, and just see what works. Just kind of throw it out there and see what works. I mean, my God, an M'Baku could help you in this game. So,
and your martyr call was so good too, because it doesn't, like, at the end of the game, it doesn't matter.
No,
you're not going to get to the end of the game. It's just going to go until it stops. So
it can't lose you a game. So who cares? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so genius to me.
Yep.
And I'm sure there are other cards that we're not thinking about that are just so much better in this mode than they would normally be.
Yep. I think you're going to see a lot of cards that probably don't get used much in the game naturally. Yeah. Like I think you're going to see cards that don't get used a whole lot that are going to end up being used in this mode. So yeah, I agree. I think this is, look, and like I said, at least they're trying to come out with different and new things, and they're giving away these cards. Are they the greatest cards in the world? No. Are they cards that you would probably spend tokens on? Probably not. Uncle Ben is just a fun card. You just see, you see Uncle Ben die, like we've seen him die in millions of movies, and then Spider-Man comes into the game. So it's just that, you're going to see like a cool graphic. Lawfey is not that great. Like Gorgon's the one. Oh yeah. Gorgon's the one I think people are going to necessarily want, because that's an Arsham counter.
It's a tech card.
It is. And it's an Arsham counter card. Your opponent's cards that didn't start in their deck cost 1 more. So you are penalizing an Arishem deck with this card. And I know a lot of people are still frustrated with that deck. That deck went away for a little while when it got nerfed this last time, but now it's back. And a lot of people are playing it again. They're playing it with Doom now. So this is an anti-Arishem card. So for sure, this might be the one that of all three of those that people want. I would think the most, and I would think that this one might be the one that people go after. But yeah, we could read through these really quickly and just go through the cards. So we have Lafay. He is a 4/5. I've heard so many people. I cringe when I hear people pronounce this card. People are saying Laffy. People are saying Laffy. I'm like, well, yeah, it's Lafay, man.
I think in the MCU they call him Laufey.
Do they call him Laufey? Okay, yeah. I go more towards because the Norse god version of him is Laufey.
Absolutely,
and it's but so he's a 4/5. He is on reveal, steal 1 power from each other card here. So again, just one of those cards that is going to go in and slot into those toxic decks.
Just slam dunk.
Yeah.
And we just talked about a card that synergizes with this too.
Yep.
That's going to get massive. It's like, I mean, this is an amazing card. You should want this. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. If you are a toxic player, this is definitely a card you're going to want to go after and get. Next up, we've got Uncle Ben. I can't believe they put poor Uncle Ben in the game just to die.
And what's hilarious is this card has been data mined since the game launched.
Yes.
And this is the exact same ability as it had.
It is. Yeah, it 100% is. And when I first saw this, I thought this was a meme. I'm like, this is never going to come to pass. But poor Uncle Ben, we're going to see him die over and over and over and over again. But when this card is destroyed, replace it with Spider-Man. Look, some people had said that if you blow him up with a Killmonger, right, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man comes in and he's going to move a card out of the lane. So I don't know, maybe that's cool.
It's sort of like, in a weird way, it's like an activate card. It's just it's waiting, and then you can choose when you want the effect to go off. Now, let's not get it twisted here. I don't think this card is good.
No, it's definitely still a meme card.
Absolutely.
But it's going to see. I'm curious to see what the animation is going to look like. How are they going to kill off poor Uncle Ben in this game?
You just see a hand rise up and say, "Great power comes great response."
Could you imagine? Oh my God. Or you just see like that, the thug from all the old Spider-Man, like the 60s with the blonde hair.
Oh my God.
You see him come up with a gun. They would never do that. But I mean, just like, could you imagine? Like,
oh my God.
And even the notes here. Now you can create your own Spider-Man origin story. Uncle Ben is a 1-cost 2-power card with the sad effect of whenever he is destroyed, he is replaced by Spider-Man. What the heck do we do with him as a card? Seems to be a meme, but I want to test it out. Yeah, this is for certain a meme card. And probably the last, like, if you can't get all the cards from this month and get them all in this mode, you're probably not going to want to go for Uncle Ben. You're going to want the other 2 cards first.
Yeah.
So,
I do hope his animation's good. I really hope they work on that. And it's funny. That would make this card so worth it to me, but yeah.
Or you see like Peter in the, what was it? When Uncle Ben dies, and you see Peter like with the angry, he's in the Spider-Man costume and he's like, with the fist in the air. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. But I can't wait to see what the animation is.
Oh man, could you? I don't know if they'd go this far, but could you imagine you have like Kyera out on the board and you try to destroy Uncle Ben and he just like sweats a little?
Oh my God! Like he can't get destroyed.
Yeah. Dude. So that would be hilarious to me.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome. And then we'll move on to Gorgon. Gorgon is ongoing. Your opponent's cards that didn't start in their deck cost 1 more. So like I said, it's an anti-Arishem card, or it could be really anti, the shield decks now that have come out with Victoria Hand. It's going to hurt as well. Arishem's biggest hater. Gorgon is a 2-cost 3-power card that features the ongoing effect of making every card in your opponent's hand that didn't start in his deck cost 1 more. I mentioned Arishem, but he wrecks a ton of different strategies like Thanos. Yeah, good point. Moon Girl, and even shield agents. Never have I seen a more hateful card. So yeah, this is a very good tech card against a lot of different decks. Now Thanos isn't popular right now, but if he ever would come back and they mess around with Thanos a little bit more down the line, this is the card you're going to want in your deck to counter it. Moon Girl, again, not very popular, but you still see that She-Hulk Moon Girl deck every now and then.
I love that deck.
Yeah. Yep. And then, of course, the Shield decks, like I said, the Victoria Hand decks were huge. They were really popular. People that brought Devil Dino back. Devil Dino was getting played with all that. And then, of course, Arshem. So you want that Arshem counter. If you're running into a lot of Arshem, you see a lot of it in Conquest. So if you want to play some Conquest and, you want a tech card for it, here you go. So, yep. But in any case, I think it's going to be whenever a new mode comes out in the game, it's fun. I don't know what we're going to see the rest of this year. Some people are asking when the new roadmap is going to come. When are we going to get, news of things? Are we going to get draft mode? Which, to be honest, guys, I don't know what your take is on this is, Kier. You can obviously certainly let me hear your take on this. But the draft mode, I'm starting to think more and more that it's going to be very difficult for them to include a draft mode in this game without making it expensive and very monetary. And the reason I say that is because I come from Magic. I played in drafts. I played in online drafts. The reason Magic can do it very well is because they have so many cards.
Yeah.
This game just doesn't. And I think that's why you're hearing like some of the devs, Glenn and others are saying that it's taking a while to come up with a draft mode. And I think that's why I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see that this year. I wouldn't get your hopes up, but yeah.
I mean, okay. So there's two design challenges that you have with Marvel Snap in a draft. The first one being, you've said this yourself, and I tend to agree. One of the best parts about Snap is like calling out your opponent. Like you see a couple of their cards.
Right.
There's an archetype in your head. You say, okay, I know that they've played these cards. This deck typically plays these cards, so I should expect this. And then when you play around it, you feel super smart.
Yep.
It's super cool, right? With the small decks in this game, it's a lot easier to make those plays than other card games. Like that's a special joy of this game. If you're playing a draft mode, people complain with Arishem. It's annoying when they play something you could never have guessed. Yeah. It's just impossible.
Yep.
The second problem that you have with draft mode is the monetization, right? So you have a system that's giving you a bunch of cards to play with. Is it going to be like you have to pay to play? Is it going to be like Conquest where you have to like build your way up? And speaking of, like, is it just going to be like a single match, you win or lose, and that's it? Is it going to be like something, there are all these questions.
Yeah.
Here's my pitch. And I know that this is technically not draft, but hear me out. Maybe they call it something like, I don't know, like a mix and match mode.
Okay.
With the idea being you're given a selection of 6 cards each, and your job is to pick 2 sets of 6 cards and mash them together, and then you hop into a game. So they get to choose the cards that they put into the 6 set, and it could be the same every time. So that way, when you're going up against an opponent and you see like a destroy card, you're like, okay, they chose the destroy set. Clearly, I know what cards are in this deck. And I don't know if this is something that people would want to play, but I was thinking about this in my spare time. Just the idea of like, if they could have control over what cards you get to pick from, and it's something that everyone has access to, the information about what they're playing, suddenly that fixes 2 of the biggest design problems with a draft mode.
Yeah.
But that's just something that I came up with, and clearly I'm not a game designer.
Yeah.
So if they do end up implementing something, I'm hoping that it does feel snapified. It doesn't feel like just like Arena from Hearthstone.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Yeah, look, but I do think it's going to be tough for them to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so I would tell everybody that's listening, enjoy these different game modes we're getting as much as you can. And don't necessarily count on the fact that we're definitely going to see draft mode. I think that's going to take them a little while to get that perfected. But yeah, So, all right, next up, I can see the little wording down at the bottom there. We got this. I'm excited for this. This is coming in the next patch, which I think comes out next week.
February 11th.
Yep. So we've all been waiting for this. This is something that was talked about on the roadmap, but then they took it off the roadmap and we didn't think we are going to get it. And now we are. And I know you've talked about this on your pod as well.
Yep.
I know you're excited about this. Same here. I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, but we're getting more little bits and pieces. Now, these are the screens that they showed more recently from the last patch. And this, of course, is the hood character mastery. And you can see the mastery level 4 up there. And you can see the different card borders and card backs and stuff like that. You have the bananas one, you have a psychedelic one, and then there's a rainbow confetti. So all this other stuff. And I love this, man, because you are going to literally be able to kind of just trick your cards out. Your cards are now going to look differently from other players. You know, you sure, everybody can do gold, everybody could do inked, and you could have, but most of the time they're going to look similar. You can make them a little different, but not like you're going to be able to do with this. So this is going to be awesome. I'm super excited for this, and I know my Galactus is going to look amazing because I have so many Galactus splits. So this is what it says. That's not all this February the 11th. With the arrival of the new patch, Mastery is finally ours. We don't know all the details, but we know so far that every card will have its own Mastery track that will grant exclusive unlockable rewards, including unique flares. At the end of the track, you'll find the character's reaction set and a gold diamond flare. So there you go. So at the very end, you're going to get those little emotes, which they're okay. I don't use those very much. I kind of forget they're there. If I see someone with a cool card, I'll kind of sneak one out there every now and then. But it's like but I love the fact that you're going to get unique flares. I think that's awesome. And at the end of the track, you get the gold diamond flare at the very end of the track. So we don't have all the details, obviously, with this yet. We don't know what's going to get you up the ladder. Like some suggested that you may have to play with the card to get up the ladder a little bit. Or is it the splits that you have? I'm sure that probably counts toward things too. But man, I'm fired up about Mastery, man, and I know you are too from how you talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that this excites me so much, and I'm gonna dunk on myself a bit here. I'm a bad player, okay, and I know that. I'm not gonna change myself. I'm not gonna get any better. And I'm okay with that. I actually just enjoy playing the game for what it is.
Yep.
But for someone like me who can't consistently get to infinite, my goals for this game are pretty limited. Like there's not a lot of room for me to grow except for hitting that one unattainable goal. Mm-hmm. So having something that just rewards me for playing the game, that I can get behind.
Yeah.
Something 100%. That rewards you for being dedicated to a certain card or a certain archetype. That benefits everybody.
Yep.
Your favorite card is going to look so cool with all of these neat effects. And assuming that you get that reaction set, you can really, really show how dedicated you are to a certain card.
You can.
For me personally, I know the Infinite is probably going to be that card for me. I have close to 23 splits of that card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that's going to be in the grand scheme of things. I hope that that's a lot. I'll talk about it in a minute. I hope that they don't make it very difficult. I hope that it's like you have to put some time in, but it's you can get cool stuff using, let's say, even 30 splits. If they require you to get like 100 splits of a card,
that shouldn't be. No, I agree. That's ridiculous.
That's my only concern with this mode. I don't think they do it.
In the gameplay. The gameplay is okay. I wouldn't mind playing with the card a little bit, but there are some cards that people love that just don't fit into popular decks.
Right.
And like for me, even Galactus right now. Galactus doesn't. He's hard to play. You can't get him in many decks other than like a destroy list or something like that really isn't Galactus centric. And if they tell you as part of this you have to win matches with it, that could be difficult. Especially for people that like certain cards. Like I know Lauren Whatevs loves Valkyrie. She's a big Valkyrie player. She loves the card. Yeah. And there's going to be people that are going to have all different cards that they love for this. And then it's just going to be a feels bad if they pick a card that you can't win with right now. And that happens. So, not everybody likes all the popular cards that are in decks right now. So I hope that's not the case. I could see it being, hey, maybe to go up a rung, win 5 games. Okay, that's
Sure,
fine.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. That's reasonable. That's fine. But it better not be you have to win like 50 games, because that, like you were saying, that's ridiculous, and that's just a feels bad. So I hope that's not going to be a situation in this. So, but yeah. Look, again, this is just something else that we're getting from them. They're not charging us for this, and so it's just something that they're throwing in there that's going to reward players for playing certain cards, and I think that that's cool. We'll see. We've only got 6 days to wait.
I know.
And we're going to find out. Isn't it going to be a cool thing though? Like obviously for myself and you, but other players too, that they're going to be doing something other than playing the game. Right. And sometimes that's cool. You can get away from having the grind of ladder, where you could just go into this and you'd be like, oh, look at this. I could do this for cosmetic. Now, not everybody loves cosmetics. Like there are players who don't care, but to just get a different side of the game and be able to do something in game where you're not necessarily grinding all the time is, to me, that's a welcome change.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also want to give them kudos. I just want you to think about right now the amount of cards in the game.
Oh my gosh.
And then having an artist make reactions for all of them, including every card that's going to come out in the future.
Yeah.
You got to give them kudos. That's cool. That is
very cool.
That even the most obscure cards that nobody likes are going to have a reaction set that you can flaunt. That's super cool to me. I told you before, I have a lot of Agent 13 boosters.
Mm-hmm.
I might get an Agent 13 reaction set, and that's just so cool to me.
Yeah, and see, and that's because again, like stuff like that is going to make you. They used to talk about this game when they first started about unique collections, right?
Exactly.
And that's not the case anymore. Because if everybody owns the cards, they're all, yes, you'll have some unique variants that not everybody will be able to have. Like some of them some of them have variants that you can't, but now they're even bringing those back where you can buy them in the shops. So, but now you'll have people that you will see that are going to have, like, they're going to have martyr reactions. They're going to have reactions from a card that no one else has.
Absolutely.
Because they just happen to like a particular card.
I can't wait to see the Orca reaction.
I can't wait. Orca.
I can't wait.
Namor, for that matter. I mean, all these cards. Jessica Jones. I
think I have a good shot at that. By the way, I've been playing Jessica Jones in my oatmeal deck. I think she's underrated. But to your point, like for someone like me that really likes that card, I might get something really cool and unique out of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I mean, I have next to no. I could never get any Jessica variants. I literally think I have 2. I have Pixel, and then I have one of the other newer ones that came out recently, but that's it. I never got any variants for her, ever. So it is. It's going to be very cool. It will allow you then to have unique things that people won't have ever seen before. And maybe with those reactions, maybe people will want to show them off a little more, use them in the game because, hey, look at this. I have this reaction set that you've never seen. I win-win to me. I think it's very cool. Adds something to the game that we just never had before. And not to mention, again, like I said first, it was something that they did away with. They weren't going to do it. Right. And then people complained, and now they brought it back. So kudos. Yeah. I'm very glad that it's coming, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, obviously it's going to depend on implementation, but I am so stoked for this. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Me too. 100%. Well, there you go. What do we got? We got some, what do we got here? Oh, locations. We got locations. This is for this month, right?
I think so, yeah.
We have Madripoor. After each turn, give each highest cost card here a +2 power. And then we have this other one is not marked as to what it is, but it says your cards.
It's the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh, Smithsonian. Okay. Your cards here have +1 power for each ongoing among them. So again, more additions to the ongoing this month. You're starting to see people playing Spectrum decks and stuff like that, which is cool. It's and this month is the month to do that. Smithsonian Museum was made for Sam Wilson cap and his shield. Madripoor seems like an interesting scaling piece. It's very snowbally location, but be careful about snowballing too hard into Shang's embrace. Yeah, right. You don't want to bring Shang-Chi out. If you're interested in fancy strats about hot locations, stay tuned for a location. And this is obviously from, I'm sorry, where did you get this from again?
This is from SnapFan.
SnapFan.
Let me see if the author is somewhere around here.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we give them credit.
Yeah, Dual Gloves.
Okay, there you go. So Dual Gloves was the one who did this article. So there, make sure he gets some credit for this. Yeah. And then we got the spotlights, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So there's your spotlights. Obviously, Joaquin Torres. This is the one that Kira was mentioning earlier. I did get the Joaquin out of this, and which was weird because I had enough tokens to buy Joaquin, so I just used tokens for him. But then I'm like, you know what? I never open these at all. I never get the spotlight variants anymore because most of the time I've been lucky lately. I've been getting 1-2 pulls. So I haven't gotten one in a while. So I popped one open and I got the Joaquin Torres out of it. So I did get
awesome. That's great.
Yeah. But they are cool. The Makari, like you were saying earlier, and then the Namora is very cool. And they're both, listen, Namora is a cool card. I know that the deck's not out there right now, but it's very unique and very. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I was about to say it's one of those cards that just like it's going to depend on the meta, but you're going to be happy you have this card.
Yep.
I promise you.
Yeah, very different card to play. And even Makari finds, that's a very good card to get priority with. And a lot of people just kind of, don't pay attention to it. But I've had that in certain deck lists where that just pops out of your hand and could end up winning you a lane because nobody expects it.
Yeah. So, well, and it's also good. It's surprisingly good in a lot of decks. It's good at
Surfer for sure.
It's good with like Moon Girl lists because you don't want that card to be duplicated by Moon Girl. It's there's lots of reasons to play Makari. So this spotlight was pretty awesome.
Yep. The next one we have is Thunderbolt Ross week, and we have Blink and Nebula. Now, 2 cards that don't see a whole lot of play much anymore. Blink is used primarily now, I think, in Hela. And Nebula, I still end up having in my any kind of ramp deck that I play, I have Nebula in there. So if I'm playing any kind of ramp, if I'm playing a Galactus ramp deck into Electro, stuff like that, most of the time I'll have Nebula in there because Nebula is just good to attract cards to play on her lane because they just don't want the card to keep continuing to grow. So... and I've seen her in Zoo lists. Zoo uses her from time to time. So still a pretty good card. I think Nebula was always one of the more consistent Guardians that's out there. But yeah. So your thoughts on this spotlight?
Yeah, I'd say if you don't have Blank, roll for her. She's I think right now she's just so underplayed. It's ridiculous. And I think part of that is because in order to get the most out of her, you need 6 costs in your deck. Yeah. And if you don't draw Blink, then sometimes those feel a little bad.
Yeah.
But I do think that she opens up a lot of deck design. And yeah, if you don't have Nebula, still are 1-drop. Like, I know Hydra Bob has sort of become like the, prototypical, I throw this in the deck, but it used to be Nebula. She's just kind of good. Yeah. And as you kind of mentioned, she has this like effect on your opponent that makes it easy to predict where they're going to play.
Yeah.
If for example, like if you play her on turn 4 and you're going into turn 5, you have a pretty good idea where they're going to play their next card. Yeah. So just really, really good. The only downside to the spotlight, honestly, is Thunderbolt Ross here.
Right. Yeah.
But
we've
I'd
already
say
talked about him, but yeah,
pretty all right.
Not bad. Blink and Nebula are definitely not bad. We got the next one here. Now this is the Red Wing one, and this is coming with Baron's email. I mean, look, Mill is everywhere still. Yeah. That Mill deck that came out last month with Iron Patriot is very good. And you're definitely going to want Zemo if you don't have him, if you are interested in playing a Mill deck. Loki still finds his way into Arshem lists. The old Loki decks that were there before, not so much anymore. But some people will still find ways to play him. And he's still he does what he does. And so not the greatest spotlight cash here, especially how we were talking about Red Wing and figuring Red Wing is not so hot. unless you're going for Baron Zemo. If you really want to play Mill, you kind of need him. So at that point, I would tell you to open for this one. Otherwise, this one's probably an easy skip, I think.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I will say the variant for Baron Zemo on this is so funny looking.
Toon World variant, it's
yeah,
crazy.
it's like rubber hose animation. I love it.
Yep, and you can see the little smile underneath his mask too. Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
Then we've got Diamondbacks Spotlight, and this one is: are you a fan of Phoenix Force, or do you want to play it? Here's your chance.
I mean, yeah,
because you're going to get Phoenix Force, you're going to get Nimrod, and yeah. So I mean, and then of course Diamondback. So if you ever wanted to play Phoenix Force and you're seeing people play it, and you kind of thought, hey, Phoenix Force Nimrod is looks pretty fun. Well, this is the spotlight for you to go and get. Phoenix Force has had a lot of variants, and honestly, they all look the same. There's nothing you could do to this to make it not look like a fiery bird. It is, it just is. And the thing is, though, on the newer cards, they're making the splits cooler.
Yes.
So when you do split them, you're going to see like all that fire and stuff around it and everything like that kind of coming out of the card, which is cool. The Nimrod is badass. The Nimrod's really cool looking. Just a big close up of his face. I like these. I like these portraits of the faces of the characters. I wish they would do more of them. I love the Thing.
Actually, yeah, now that you mention it, is this like go in a pair with that Abomination?
That's a good question.
Thing?
I wonder if it's the same artist.
Yeah,
because because the Abomination has the close up of his face. That's the one with the Thing. You got the Abomination and the Thing with the face close ups. I would love to see more of these. I absolutely love these. I think these are phenomenal and they look amazing. I want a Galactus like this. I want his big face smashed on a card. I would absolutely love that. I think that's phenomenal. You know what? I'm going to look now because now I'm curious. Because I have the Thing. I'm just going to look up the Thing card real quick. I'm going to see if it's the same artist.
The artist is Lino Yu.
Yeah. I hope I
pronounced that right.
I want to just see if it's the same one, because if it is, then we need him to do more art, because I need more of those. Let me look up Thing real quick and see if he's okay. No, different artist. Greg Staples did the Thing one. But yeah, I love these close-ups of the faces. I like I said, I wish they would do more. I think they're really, really neat. But yeah, if you like Phoenix Force and you ever wanted to play it, this is definitely the cash for you.
Great week, course, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. And Diamondback's a great card. Gonna be in a lot of things. And if you don't have Phoenix Force and you'd be interested in playing it, or if you just want to play like a Shuri Nimrod deck, which by the way, they're still very good. They're still very good decks. Yeah. Having those 12s popping all over the board, it makes for a tough deck to beat.
Yeah.
So very good one, I think. Absolutely. Yep. So they are the Spotlight caches, of course, for this month. And then I think you got albums down there that are coming out. We do. So we've got a Near Faro, Wherever You Are. So this is the Faro album. Black Widow, Fenris Wolf, Frigga, Gore, Iron Lad, Iron Man, Malekith, Ms. Marvel, Ravonna, Rockslide, Shang-Chi, and Surtur. This is out now.
Yes,
actually.
It is.
And of course, you get an avatar of Darkhawk, and you get the Victor Pharaoh Darkhawk and the Darkhawk 3 times value emote, which we've seen. And then 2,000 collector's tokens, of course, as well. Victor Pharaoh's art's cool. I love the Surtur. I own the Surtur. I think I have the Frigga. I have the Gore. I never got the Fenris. The Black Widow's nice. That's like her. I think that's the MCU variant. It looks very much like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
The Iron Lad's awesome, and Iron Lad doesn't have a ton of variants.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. The two that I can think of are like the Dan Hip.
Yeah, the Dan Hip one, and I have that other one that's he kind of looks like he's screaming, like the
that's what I was
Scream.
Thinking. Yeah, it has like all those like lines coming up.
Yep. And then of course you have another. The Rockslide one looks a little like the Thing.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I think most of the other Rockslide variants I've seen are very like stylized. This is pretty cool.
Ms. Marvel's had a bunch. Ravonna, not so many. And then Malekith and Frigga, obviously, Not a ton either, but they're very cool. And even a different Shang. Shang's had a lot of variants too, but that's quite different pose for Shang-Chi. So very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I bought this Malekith because they had a limited time run of the Faro variants in the shop.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I had some gold saved up, and I was like, man, this looks cool. It's
a
pretty
cool one.
Yeah, him sitting on the throne there.
Yep.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Now the Darkhawk one, I think this is going to make a lot of people upset. I'm not going to lie.
that 3 times value thing.
Yeah,
that's
if you remember that whole controversy. It was like the banner that they put in there for the Darkhawk bundle.
Opening up old wounds, they are there. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they're trying to make it a little bit of fun of themselves, but I could see people thinking, it's a little patronizing.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Fashion is my passion. I kind of like these. These are the magazine covers. They're supposed to look like
the Hellfire Gala. Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to look like fashion magazines. And these are cool. Yeah, we had these data mined for a little bit. Copycat, Hope Summers, Jessica Jones, Marvel Boy, Mockingbird, Sage, Speed, and the Star-Lord. So yeah, very cool. They definitely look like fashion, fashion magazines, like you said, very similar to the gala, like different, fashionable things that they have. And then in the album, you have an avatar of Elsa Bloodstone, and then you have a fashion variant of Elsa. You have 2,000 tokens in there as well, and then you have 2 borders, also neon white borders in that one. So yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say I want this Marvel Boy. That's such a
the Marvel Boy is very cool looking.
Yeah,
I like the Jessica Jones, and that'll be cool because I don't have many of those.
Yeah,
I wonder if, I wonder what value these will be, because I thought I remember reading that they could be 700 variants.
This is 9,600 total.
Okay,
so I think that checks out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's 9,600 divided by 8.
That can't be 1,200, right?
It is 1,200.
Is it 1,200? Okay, well, then there you go. So it is 1,200. Okay, well.
At least that's again, this, I think we need to clarify. These are data mines. So
they are.
They with a grain of salt. But
they could certainly change.
Yeah, it looks like these are going to be 1,200 variants, which is, I would guess the reason why is because this is custom art. Like if you see in the background, you can see Snap as the magazine cover.
Yeah, the magazine cover. Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that these pieces of art were made for Snap, which might drive up the price a bit.
Very true. Yeah, good point. Yep, good point. Well, there you go. So that's going to pretty much wrap up the month. So that we gave you a little month preview, talked about the new game mode, talked about mastery. Kier, final thoughts from you, my friend. I mean, I've had you here over 2 hours. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, damn. But what are your thoughts like for, the future of Snap? Like what kind of, because I know we were in a bit of a bad place for a while, right? Where we had a lot of people leaving the game and a lot of, creators going elsewhere and stuff like that. But, I think from us talking about the lows, obviously, when Snap was gone for a while, to what's coming up, I really think that it's exciting right now, and what we have to look forward to. And I think you're going to start to see some people get a little more excited about the game again, with the stuff that they have upcoming. But yeah, what are your thoughts in general about the game going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, to quote Alex Kocha here. The things that we have upcoming are exciting. This is an exciting time to be a Marvel Snap player.
Yep.
Particularly because of character mastery, the new game mode we're getting. Those are great. But I will say, I'm going to caveat all of this positivity with the changes that they're going to make to monetization, the ones that they spoke about trying to make in the first quarter. If they don't nail that,
that needs to happen.
Yeah, I think like right now, I'm totally cool with the compensation that they gave us. That's awesome. I'm excited about character mastery. I think that's going to add another level to this game. But if they don't nail the problems with our current system, where it feels like we're constantly on a treadmill trying to keep up, if they don't find a way to fix that, I think our community is just going to get smaller and smaller over time. And that's an unfortunate reality. I hope that they, get the smartest people on their financial team and try to find a way to make all of this feel better. Particularly, I compare this game to Hearthstone a lot. And when you go a couple of months away from Hearthstone, when you get back, they give you some quests to do that give you cards instantly.
Yes.
And they'll give you like a bunch of them just in a row. And obviously that's really generous for a system like this. So I don't think they could go that far, but still something to consider. Returning players probably need a lot of help. Anything to make the Series 3 grind a lot easier also helps. And for those of us that want to take a break every other week, we shouldn't feel punished.
That's a good point. Yeah,
we should not feel punished for having to skip a week. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems that this game has. So
I agree. And Blue Train talks about that all the time because he wants to take some time off and you just can't.
That happened to me. I took probably 3 months off of
Snap.
that's right.
I remember. Yeah.
So like when I came back, I was missing a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I would hope that they're looking into that. I hope that they nail it. But that being said, so far things are looking up.
Agreed. Yep, I think so too. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of it goes. And like you said, I do think they have to follow up on promises. I agree. That goes to show a lot. And if they can get the compensation piece of it worked out and card acquisition worked out a little bit better. And obviously you're seeing little bits of that, like, the Series 4 and 5 cards in that new mode now. That's helping. The
Marvel Snap web shop.
Right. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Right. I just got a mystery variant today.
I got a border today.
Yeah. That's awesome. So there are positive signs. So I agree on both points there. I think we have reason to be positive. But again, they do need to follow up on those promises because if it goes into March and that's almost in the end of the first quarter and we're not hearing anything, then some people are going to start losing faith again. So agreed. I think it's going to be a necessary follow up for them. So, well, hey man, thanks as always again for being on. Always love having you. And obviously, before we go, let the guys know again where they could find you and the Infinite podcast. And you put it out quite a bit. You get those out on a pretty good pace.
Yeah, I took over the podcast after my co-host left, and so I made some format changes. But if you want to follow me, every week I drop the Infinite podcast on pretty much every platform you could possibly think of.
Yep.
And the gimmick with that is that it's under 25 minutes. So if you have a short commute or don't, have the time to listen to a full podcast, you can still get your dose of Marvel Snap. And you can also follow me on YouTube, where I post videos on Marvel Rivals and cross post those podcast videos. And you can keep an eye on me on Blue Sky as well.
Yeah, come over to Blue Sky is great so far.
Really positive. Yeah.
If you want a good place to go, and there's a lot of people from the Snap community, go make an account over there. I'm over there. I know a lot of people. Lauren Whatevs, It's Just Re, Ben are all over there. Glazer's over there. Kier's obviously over there. So there's a lot of us that are over there. So if you're kind of down on the other one, which I can't blame you for being so. Then pop over there. There's a lot of us that are over there. So come and make an account, and we'd love to have you interact with us over there. So. Certainly do that. But yeah, man, awesome. Check out Kier's Pod. It's a lot of fun. And like he said, my drive home is a half an hour. So sometimes that 15, 20 minutes is awesome because you could just listen to it on your drive home or whatever. And check it out. It's a lot of fun. And Kier, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure to have you aboard. Yeah,
well, here's to more, I hope.
Absolutely, man.
We'll see after March.
Yeah, we certainly will. Yeah, let's hope so. I love doing the show, as I'm sure you love doing yours, and that's part of it too. So we, for us to do what we like doing, we got to make sure the game's on a nice trajectory.
Absolutely.
So we'll be talking to ourselves. Otherwise. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for me for this week. I loaded you up with a lot of stuff this week. I know I did. I apologize for that. But I obviously have the Regis video out there, so go check that out. That was a lot of fun talking to Regis Kilbin. Of course, this episode with Kier, and then I've had the podcast out, my podcast that I did yesterday. Go check that out. That's a little different. No top 5 in that this week because I had so much to talk about in Comics Corner. And I also did my first ever movie trailer, like walkthrough review, which I kind of always wanted to do that. I've seen other people do those on YouTube, and I kind of did that on the audio pod. So check that out. It was a lot of fun for me to do that. And I think going forward in MCU Minute, I'm going to be doing more of that kind of stuff. So when I see Captain America, I'll do like a non-spoilery review of the movie and stuff like that at the end of the show too. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah. All right, guys, that is it. Like I said, for me, appreciate you listening wherever you are. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment, all that good stuff. If you're listening on audio, I appreciate all of you that do that as well. I'm on all the audio platforms. Make sure you follow me if you can on any of those. Spotify, I know you can, and Apple, I know you can. Do that, and also leave me comments there. I'll always answer those comments, questions, whatever you may have, suggestions as well. I would very, very much appreciate it. And that is going to be it for me for this week. I will return, obviously, next week for the podcast on Tuesday. Always going to look to see if I can get guests on as well, and I'll have some people lined up, of course, for that. And if nothing else, I'll have the regular pod and the OTA review, or the patch review, rather. That'll be coming out next week that I'll be doing as well. There might be an OTA coming up soon, too.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so I will be doing an OTA review also. So check it out. And as I always say, please stay safe. Be kind to one another always. And hopefully I see you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. Have a great one, guys. And I will talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody.
If only I had spidey senses.